and welcome to this week's QPR Preview Show. Dave is still in Norwich, so for this episode, I'm joined by Tony to look ahead to the matches with West Brom and Huddersfield. As chance would have it, they are the bottom two sides as we go into the weekend. Before we look forward to those matches, we must consider the past week matches against Birmingham and Norwich, not the points total we maybe would have hoped for. Birmingham, though, first. The stats make it look like we were the dominant side, but Birmingham deserved their win, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was just one of those days, disappointing result, slightly disappointing performance, but not too distressed about it, not too worried about it. It was just one of those days when nothing went right. So, their first goal was a complete fluke. We lost 3 players injured in the first half, missed a penalty. Just nothing went right, and it was just one of those.
Yeah. I think the autopsy could have still been going on had we not responded against Norwich, as we now know that we have. And it was a good midweek performance, an excellent response. I was concerned going into the Norwich game, but after not just the Birmingham performance, but the Luton match as well, it felt like an important away point, didn't it?
Yeah, and a performance as well. And it was particularly worrying going into the match because when you look at all the people we got injured, when you look at the subs that had to come on at the end, Bon and Shodibo and players that just aren't anywhere near the squad normally. It's actually a pretty good result. I noticed both you and I predicted quite heavy defeats, so both of us have got to think it's quite a good result.
Yeah, I think it was important for us to not lose that one because the malaise can kick in very quickly in this league. Back-to-back defeats, everyone gets down about it. So at least we've avoided that. And you make a good point there about our bench. It has to be pointed out that Norwich have obviously got the parachute payments. They've won the league the last 2 times they were at this level. They're bringing international players off the bench. So It's good to see us going toe-to-toe with them, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we kind of forget really where we were just at the beginning of the season. What do we know? We're in the top 6 quite comfortably now. And I don't think any of us, or certainly I didn't, expect to be even close to that, from the start of the season. If you'd offered me 4th at this point, I'd have snapped your arm off.
Oh, definitely. I think this is the 13th preview show, and I think in episode 4 we had to discuss the fact that we were having Beale out threads on our forum. So we've come a long way since then. We seem to be doing better though against the teams who play their own game, like Norwich did. When you've got teams like Luton, Birmingham, who are setting out with a specific plan to stop us, we seem to be struggling because obviously it makes it hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And it's quite interesting because quite a lot's been made of the fact that we've played all the top teams away. So we've played them at their grounds when presumably they're thinking they're the ones that are going to make the play and gives us an opportunity to get back at them. It'll be interesting to see what it's like when they come to Loftus Road. Oh,
definitely, but it should give us an advantage because 7 matches, I think, out of the top 9-10 teams now we've already done away from home. So very, very positive.
And got some decent results as well.
Yeah, massively. Yeah. Like I say, we seem to be doing better in those matches than against the likes of your Rotherhams and your Stokes and your Birminghams, don't we? And it certainly make it interesting because obviously the 2 matches we're going to look ahead to now, they are the bottom 2, as I said before. So on paper, at least, it's a chance to build on the Norwich result. West Brom up first. I don't think anybody expected them to be doing quite so badly. Looking at our head-to-head, the win in January was the first time since 2015 that we actually beat them. Of course, saw the match where Charlie Austin scored in the last couple of minutes. In the anniversary kit, Johan Barbet was covered in blood. It's strange to think that so much has changed since then, and that was only earlier this year. They're in the bottom 3, but of course they have a new manager in Carlos Carbaran. A good appointment for you?
Yeah, I think so. I was just kind of hoping they'd hang on to Steve Bruce just for a few more matches. Yeah. It's shocking that they are where they are. There's no good reason for it at all. And, they've been underperforming hugely. And my worry is that they're just showing one or two signs. They've got a new, better manager, and they're just showing one or two signs of kind of snapping out of it, just in time to come. Even so, you would hope we should beat them, but it's absolutely not a gimme, is it?
No, 100% not. I mean, they've mainly just been drawing too many. Blackburn are obviously second at the moment, and they've lost more games than West Brom. West Brom just haven't been getting the wins. Anyone could technically make the top six. They could have a comeback. It does feel, though, like it's going to be a season for them mopping up the mess of the Steve Bruce reign, doesn't it, really?
It does.
Go on, you say.
Well, the Championship is so compressed in terms of points from kind of, well, Burnley look like they're beginning to get away, but from everyone else down to about 18th, 19th, 20th, it's so compressed. It just takes a really good run from anyone will get them into the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. Like I say, I don't expect that to be West Brom, but Blackpool didn't even have a shot against them in midweek. I think if someone just quickly scans the league table, they're going to think this is QPR 3 points, but they're going to have players trying to impress the new manager as well. They've got the likes of Swift, Wallace, Grant, obviously our old friend Matt Phillips. They've got excellent players at this level.
Swift always plays well against us as well.
Yeah, they're just excellent players at this level, though, aren't they?
Yeah. And we've got quite a few out, but Willock came back this evening, looked like he just picked up where he left off. Didn't seem to, well, we'll see if he suffers any ill effects from that, but you must think good chance of him starting on Saturday.
Yeah, he has to start, doesn't he? If he's even if he can do this time the opposite way, maybe do 60 minutes from the start rather than coming on at 55, 60, you could hope for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and you'd also hope one or two of the others. I think, is there a chance Johansson might be back, or Dunn, or even Armstrong? Hopefully one or two others back.
Yeah,
I do have to apologise in advance because I'm taking my dad to this match, and we have a terrible record when the pair of us go.
Yeah, I mean, you're mentioning there Armstrong, maybe even Richards as well. It's the bench, isn't it? We need to hopefully have a bit of a stronger bench. You could tell tonight, like you said at the start, the options coming off, they're not going to cut it, are they?
No. I mean, okay, if we're 2-0 up or whatever, or 3-0 up, and they're just seeing out the time, that's fine. But in a match like tonight, they're not going to change the game in your favour, are they?
No, they're not going to have the impact Willock had. I mean, what was he? The first touch is a half turn away from the man and he hits the post. It's such an impact he had. It's a shame we couldn't get him more involved. If Johansson doesn't make it, there's rumours that he's having to maybe have injections to try and play. Potentially, maybe just going to leave him out of the next week so he can recover after the World Cup. If he doesn't make it, would you want Dozzell or Amos in there?
As a general thing, I really like Amos, but he doesn't seem to be having much impact at the moment. And and Dozzell not either, really. He played quite well a couple of games early in the season. Everyone thought he turned a corner. I mean, we're kind of, without Johansson, we're just really, really reliant on Field and Tim, whose surname I won't even try and say.
Irogbenam, I think it is. Dozzell, he's still lacking the consistency, isn't he? Like you just said, seemed to be turning the corner, and I feel like he's gone backwards a little bit in the last few games. Amos is perhaps, we've discussed it on a few previous shows, just lacking the fact that he's not been playing the games. If he does drop to the bench, he seems to start the next match, and he can't seem to get any flow in his match at the moment. And Taylor Richards, he just looks like he's a bit too injury prone, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's he's hardly played at all, has he? Hardly any. I mean, that's probably. I mean, presumably, Chair Willock and Dykes up front, and and Tim and Field obviously playing midfield. And the question is, who's the third midfielder?
Yeah, the team apart from that's almost going to pick itself, like you're saying, because we're starting to lack a few options with the injuries. I presume as well, Jake Clark-Salter's going to be out until after the World Cup. There's a chance they said he's only out for 10 days, but when you've only got a match or two to go, the best just to give him the time. A bit like what I feel might happen with Johansson. Give him the time to recover.
Yeah, and didn't I read the Jimmy Dunn might be back, but you know, if Balogun and Dickey have done quite a good job, then you know, if they're reasonably fresh, then you'd let them play again, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just be good to see him on the bench, wouldn't it, in case there's an injury. It doesn't Hammerline on the bench just frightens everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I assumed that that kind of if we needed another centre half, it would have been Kake.
Yeah, Kakai's always there, isn't he? And I wonder whether even maybe with Laird, he potentially could play in the midweek match against Huddersfield, which we'll come on to now. The Huddersfield match was rearranged from when the Queen passed away. We don't have a great record against Huddersfield. Only one of the last 9 matches we've won going back to 2015. We could have played them when they only had 4 points and they were about to sack the manager. But they are still bottom as we speak now. And despite a good win against Millwall last weekend, they then lost at home to Sunderland in midweek. It looks like another season of, well, not another, but it looks like a season of struggle for them after being in the playoffs last year, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think they must feel really stitched up because I think Forest were a little bit lucky with a couple of decisions in that final.
Just a bit.
And then got promoted and then took Huddersfield's best 2 players. Yeah, but you got to hope that we would beat Huddersfield. I mean, I think of the 2 matches, you know, that would be the one I'd be a little bit more confident about. Provided our squad hangs together. It would be very disappointing not to get a win in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from the 2 games, we've got to be looking at 4 points as the minimum, isn't it? And the only problem with the Huddersfield match could be if we only draw with West Brom, perhaps, there's then pressure on that Huddersfield game, wouldn't there? Because we'd have 3 matches without a win then.
Yeah, and doubly so because they're bottom of the league. I mean, both these matches, I suppose you would predict a win, but because it's QPR, because it's the Championship, you would just never be quite so confident.
No, it's just, I think Willett coming back in gives us that edge, doesn't it? You could see already from the Norwich performance. He brings out the best in Chair, obviously, as well. And I think everyone feels more confident in the players when he's on the pitch. Fingers crossed we can get at least 4 points. You've got to hope, haven't you?
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing about Willock is it makes it so much harder for teams to, you say teams have come to Loftus Road with a plan to stop us playing, and they have, but it's so much harder when you've got both Chair and Willock in the team.
Yeah.
If there's only one, so you double up on them. If you got both of them, then what do you do?
Oh, absolutely. And then we've got Agbonam as well. He seems to be now getting more and more confident breaking through from midfield. So if Willock and Chair are full players over there, he comes pushing through. We have got the makings of, we're still building, obviously, a very, very good side, haven't we? It's just the injuries always still be a concern, aren't they, with us? We just don't have the depth.
Yeah, it's the thin squad, isn't it? I mean, when you compare, when you compare us to the Norwiches and Watfords and Burnleys of this world, they've obviously got very expensive players, but our best players probably go. We're quite happy with our best players, but what they've also got is the depth in the squad, which we don't. And that's that. Football's so much about money now, and they got it. But it's quite exciting to watch a team like ours, actually kind of bloody a few noses.
Oh, absolutely. It's been great to see us so far this season, and especially that Norwich match. We are giving them a good game. We're beating them and on occasion some of these sides, and hopefully we can get the points we need from these next 2 games. Next week it'll be our final preview show before the World Cup as we face Coventry. Thank you to Tony for joining me. Do get on our message board, share your views, and of course, come on you R's.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.